Good morning and welcome to Baker Day again. Now, if you're a teacher, don't get excited. It's not a Baker Day. If you're not a teacher, it's a Baker Day. Right? Baker Day, we're baking. Right? Baker Day teaching is something completely different. In fact, they don't even call it that anymore. But anyway, we're going to make some. We're going to make a rosemary loaf, rosemary flavoured, the herb, and it's something you could have with sort of meat, soups, or whatever. All right. Actually, we're going to use it later. But this is a little bit different the way we make this bread. Okay, we're going to use some Polish. No, not Polish. Polish. Now, I didn't bother filming it last night because you have to make the Polish the night before. Okay, and here it is in here. Okay, let me just take that off and show it to you. Okay, there you go. Looks like porridge, doesn't it? Well, it ain't. What we've actually done, it's a little bit like doing a sourdough, in that we've sort of like got the yeast started and fermenting, but we're not going as far as like making it a sourdough. This is simply 105 grams of bread flour, 105 mils of warm water, and then yeast. And you mix it all together so it's a bit like a batter, and then you just cover it like I had done with cling film and leave it overnight, and it's all bowled up. Now we're going to use that, and we're also going to be using some other yeast. All right, so you'll need some more yeast. You'll want some more warm water, 260 grams of bread flour, about a tablespoon and a half of finely chopped rosemary, about 9 grams of salt, and about 20 mils of so just over a tablespoon of olive oil. All right, so that's what you're going to need. So obviously you need to get your Polish done the night before. So let's move this down a little bit. All right, and we'll move it in a bit so you can see what we're doing. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off the bread. Now this bread then will have enough after we needed it. It's going to actually get chilled in the fridge for about 3 to 4 hours. And then it comes out and we do sort of more traditionally what you'd normally do with the bread. So that's what you're going to need. Okay, get yourself a copy and I'll show you what to do. Okay, so I've got my, what was it, about 100 and, oh, I can't know how much it was now. How much water did I have? About 130 mils of water, that's all right. And I'm just going to sprinkle my yeast into there, okay. Now, my Polish, which is all ready to go, I'm going to put in the oil, okay. In goes my oil, and I'm also going to chuck in the rosemary. All right. Now we're going to give that a bit of a mix up. It's quite sort of sticky dough wise, that Polish. All right. It's not going to be the easiest thing to do, but it's getting there. And anyway, this is all going to get chucked in the flour. So then we take our flour, which like I said, 260 grams of bread flour. Now you could do like 220 plain bread flour and 40 of sort of a whole meal. I've just gone for all plain. All right. We've got our salt, and we'll chuck that in there, and then give that a little bit of a mix around. Chuck that in with the Polish. Okay, let's get that last little bit out of there. We're then going to mix this as best we can together. Okay, and then that will go in with the flour and the salt. Okay, so I'm just going to mix this in a little bit more, try and break down that Polish so it mixes all in, and then we'll chuck it into the flour. Okay, so in that goes in with all that. Okay, quite a lot of yeast in this. Okay, and like I say, so get a wooden spoon to start with, just to mix all this in, and then we'll start kneading it. So it is quite a long process, not that you're doing a lot in that time. Like I said, we're going to let it do a little bit of rising, a bit more kneading. It's going to go and then be left to rise for about an hour, I think it is, and then we then, like I say, chill it for up to 4 hours. Now, we're a bit pushed for time, so I will probably cut that back to a couple of hours, because then you're going to need to then bring it out to let it warm up and rise again for another couple of hours. So it's going to take quite a time, obviously, to make this bread. Better be worth it. I've not tried it before. Okay, so I've more or less got that all incorporated into there. Okay, so now we need to get kneading. Okay, it'll be easier to mix it once we start kneading it. So I've got the flour out, a little bit of flour on the surface. Okay, and let's get that out of there. Just try and pick up all them odd bits that's in there. Now you're going to knead this for about 10 minutes. Okay, so I think I've more or less got most of that out of there, and we'll use that bowl later. Alright, so it's a little bit sticky. Okay, I need to get myself some new scales. It's not very good at measuring anything under 25 grams. So I'm going to have to add a little bit of flour to this because this is quite sticky. So I'm just now going to knead away for about, like I say, 10 minutes. Okay, we want to stretch that gluten. Okay, not your glutinous, but your gluten. Okay, so we can get a nice doughy finish to it. So, see you in about 10 minutes. Right, so that's had a good 10-minute knead. Used quite a bit extra flour because it was getting quite sticky, but it's settled down now. Now what we're going to do is take a bowl and we're just going to cover it and leave it for 20 minutes. Okay, so we're going to come back in 20 minutes, a quick little knead, and then we'll do the traditional sort of about an hour rising phase. Alright, so see you in 20 minutes. Okay, so we've had about 20 minutes. Let's do a little bit of a rise. Now what we're just going to do before we get back to kneading that, I'm just going to take that bowl and I'm just going to add a little bit of oil, and we're just going to wipe that round just to oil the surface of that bowl, because that's where we're going to put that once we've kneaded it for a bit more. So we're just going to give it a little bit more of a knead. Okay, it's got a little bit puffy in them 20 minutes, which is good. And then, like I say, the next phase, it will go into that bowl, we'll cover it, I've got my beeswax wrap, okay, and we will then leave it for an hour, okay. Now at the end of that hour, we will be transferring it into the fridge for up to 4 hours. Like I say, I'm going to cut that a little bit short because simply I want to get this bread baked for tonight. Got football watch there. Right, got football watch. 6-0, I think I told you last time. Okay. We'll probably lose. So that's my dough done. Plonk it in there. I'm going to cover it over and we're going to leave it to rise for an hour. I'll clean this up. At the end of that hour, like I say, all we're going to do, another quick little knead, and then it's going to go in the fridge. So I won't bother showing you me putting it back in the fridge or putting it into the fridge. So we'll catch up when it comes out. Although to be honest, all we're going to do then is we're going to take it out of the fridge and just put it on the side and let it warm up for a couple of hours to rise, hopefully double in size. So actually I might as well wait until that bit's done before I show you what goes next. So, see you later in the day. Right, so here's our dough. Okay, it's been in the fridge. I'll put it in there for about an hour because I need to speed things up. It's now been out, actually I didn't need to leave it 3 to 4 hours. Again, that's about an hour and a half, and it's already doubled in size. Okay, so it's ready to be shaped into the loaf. So we want to get a bit of flour. Okay, now if you've got some rye flour, you could use some of that in a minute. But I've got a silicone baking sheet, but even so, I'm just going to put a little bit of flour over that, and then we're just going to tip our dough out onto this baking sheet. And what we want to try and do is just shape it into, you can do it in any shape you like. You can have a round, all right. I want to make it more of sort of a loaf shape, okay, a long loaf shape, because I want to slice it. So I'm just going to smooth that out like that. Now, although we're not quite ready for the oven yet, the oven wants to be on about 240, and you need a pan in there that's going to go underneath, on the shelf underneath, because you're going to put some water in that, because we want some steam in the oven. All right, so oven on at 240 at the moment. We've shaped our loaf, okay, and then if you've got some rye flour, just sprinkle a little bit of rye flour over the top. Okay, I've just got all my flour, used all my rye up. So that's on there. Okay, and now all we're going to do is cover it over again and leave it for about 40 minutes or so. Okay, so I'm going to put it on top of the oven because it'll be a little bit warmer there, and then in about 40 minutes we'll come and put it in the oven, and we'll do a little bit of decoration first. Alright, so rosemary loaf almost ready for the oven. Right, so we're ready for baking. So uncover it, and what we're going to do is we're just going to score it across the top with my fancy little bread scorer. Can't remember what they're called now. Right, so we're just going to slash some diagonal lines on it. Okay, now at this point we want some water, and about a cup of water, and we're going to pour that into the pan. Okay, and we're going to lower the temperature down to about 220, and then pop that in there for about 35 minutes. Okay, and hopefully we'll then have a nice baked rosemary loaf. So see you in 35. Okay, so that's 30 minutes up. Remember, my oven always overcooks stuff. So, well, I say overcooks, it just cooks quick because it's a fan oven, isn't it? So, let's turn the old oven off. Okay, just turn that down a bit. It'll run, and here we go. Alright, so there's our loaf. Okay, let's chuck it underneath. There we go, onto a wire rack, and there is our rosemary loaf ready for Ron. Okay, so we'll be enjoying that later, and in fact, if you follow tonight, you might see some of that sliced up, and then we can taste it then. Might have a little taste, and while it's still nice and warm, but you won't. There you go, rosemary loaf.